mindset is also, man, if I close that deal after going through all this with that person over the phone, the business stays on the books. It stays on the books. My persistency ratio over the last 6 months is 91%. So it stays on the books. And it's strictly because I really have to focus on building some kind of trust and value with that person within the next 30 seconds or a minute, or I'm not going to get it, no matter what you do.
I'm like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live it to death. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to the Living Hope Agency Call, episode 6. I'm excited to have Mr. Matt Goodrich on the call, Hall of Fame producer. Matt, where in the country do you work out of?
Las Vegas, Nevada, brother.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay. And it's exciting for today's call because you really have shifted a lot into telesales, and obviously Las Vegas being a place where, we've got a huge home office there. We have a lot of agents who are working out of Vegas. I'm sure that working in Las Vegas, just like it being surrounded by desert, sometimes the leads, feel like you're in the middle of the desert and there's not much flowing in. So you've had to, probably out of necessity, switch into the telesales role. And I'm excited for you to be able to share some of that with us. But, just the theme of this call, this is the Road to Hall of Fame, training series. And we have these Road to Hall of Fame trainings popping up all over the country, showing agents that it's not some crazy feat to help 30 to 40 families in a month. It's just work. And, I say it on the beginning of every call, and, Mike Curry just gets all the credit for this quote, but he said, Hall of Fame is not a skill goal. It's a consistency goal. It's not really about being that great at this business. It's, can you do this for 52 weeks straight? If you're willing to do this for 52 weeks straight, if you're willing to put in that activity, you can hit Hall of Fame. It's not some crazy thing that, we deify the Hall of Fame producers. It's just, they decided to work at a consistent level. And I'm excited for you to kind of share what that looked like for you. But Matt, I'd love for you to share your background, a little your story. I know you have some previous experience in insurance before you came here, what that experience was like there, how you ended up here. And then we can start to transition into, how you got into telesales, because I know you were a 100% in the field producer.
Yeah, I was. Hey, first of all, thank you for letting me come on here, man. When you reached out to me last night, I was like, I've got to figure out a way to get on this call. Because number one is I want to associate more with you, because your success, I'm watching you from afar but close, and you're skyrocketing, and I want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? I just want to feel the trail that you're setting. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you having me on the calls. Dude, I've been involved in this insurance industry now for 10 years. I'm not a new person when it comes to the field. However, I am new as far as I'm concerned when it comes to Family First Life, because Family First Life teaches you at a different level than any other company ever teaches anybody. It is a different world over here. So I've been around the insurance world for 10 years. I got involved on it on a part-time basis, was able to replace my income, and then went full-time when I replaced my income, right? And then I stuck around at a practice IMO for a while, really kind of scared to move forward with a different company, because I was worried about leaving something behind that I'd already built, if I was being honest with you. So the fear of loss was bigger than what was possible. And eventually David Ayer and Trey Honeycutt, they kept working on me, man. They just kept working on me, kept working on me. And if I'll be honest with you, I knew that I needed to go somewhere else, because I kept hitting, there's like a cap that you always have. It's like a governor on your car. And no matter what I would do, I'd hit this cap, but I hit the lid, and I just couldn't get any further. And I knew I needed something different to push me over the ledge. And when I came over to Family First Life, it's amazing the difference of the training, the quality of people, the success that's around you. And when you get around that success, it naturally just breeds you a little bit higher. And so I'm very thankful to be over here now. I've been here now for a little over a year and 4 months is what I've been here. And thank goodness.
Love it, man. And, your success it's been awesome. You've been able to go out and hit Hall of Fame. You had probably a partial year, here before, this full year run to Hall of Fame. At what point in the year did you switch to 100% telesales? October. Okay. Nice. So a fair amount of your production, was made up through telesales. Was that ever a concern? I know it was a goal of yours to hit Hall of Fame, but when you switched to telesales, was there a fear that you're like, what if I don't finish out the year and actually hit the goal? This is new for me.
I was going to do the hybrid thing.
Mhm.
I figured, okay, so here's what I'll do. I've been doing in-person sales for 10 years. So it scared the crap out of me to go strictly over the phone. So there was no way I was going to do that because I was worried about losing my business. Right.
Yeah.
So I was going to do, okay, so I'll do hybrid sales 2 days a week in the field and 2 days on the phone. And if it works out, then I'll replace it. But if it doesn't, I'm going to go right back to doing 4 days in the field no matter what. So that was the game plan. It just, man, it just worked out. I found that it was the same as far as I'm concerned. And so, and I'm pretty good on the phone anyway. And so it was a more natural transition for me than I thought it would be. It took a learning curve. I had a 2-week learning curve. I had to kind of go through things. But once I really decided to make the commitment and go for it, there was no turning back.
I love it, man. So we're going to dig a little bit more into some of the nuances of telesales and some different tips and tricks you can give somebody, whether they're trying it out for the first time, trying to transition out of the field into it. But I really want to focus in on just mindset for a second. I mean, Hall of Fame, once again, consistency goal, not really something about being just the best salesperson in the world. So, what would you say, over the course of the last year and 4 months, obviously it's been a roller coaster. There's ups, there's downs, there's chargebacks, there's days where you help 10 families and there's days where you help no families. There's days where you go, 20 appointments in a row, over the course of a week and, just get zeroed out. What would you say has helped you kind of just remain level? I think that's always a consistent question we get on this is how do you remain level through the ups and the downs in your attitude?
I hit my appointment goal. I never worry about my production goal. If you hit your appointment goal, your production will always follow. It doesn't matter. So plan your activity correctly and your production will follow your activity.
I love it, man. I mean, it's just when you zoom out and you kind of use the law of large numbers, the law of large numbers says that, if I just keep on putting in the activity goals, the results will follow. Even if I have a bad week, I'll have a good month if I do it 4 weeks in a row. We talk about this term of how, the field owes me, or, in your case, the phones owe me. And it's like, I've had so many bad weeks at FFL, but I've never had a bad month because, 1 week where I zero out or I only help 2 families for the week, the next week I help, 10 or 15 or 20 families in the week. And it really, it makes it simple. Al said it, appointment goal. It's not complicated.
You said it right there. You're going to have a bad week. It is not possible to not have a bad week, but don't have a bad month.
Mm-hmm.
So it will always catch up to you. Law of large numbers always works out. Get the bad ones out of the way for the good ones.
So let's dig into what's your mindset going into the phone. So obviously in this regard, you went from the field, and in the field, you can't hang up on me because I'm sitting across the table from you. The field is much more forgiving than the phones. If I'm brand new, I set a bunch of appointments, I knock on your door, you're actually home. As long as you're actually home and I did a good job setting the appointment, if I say something that's unagreeable to you, you can't hang up on me from sitting across the table. So, what was your mindset going into the phones and kind of how was that developed? And then maybe how are you coaching new agents who are maybe wanting to start that for the first time? What are some expectations you're maybe giving them to help them just have the proper mindset going into it?
Well, obviously your close ratio is going to be lower because if they don't like you, if they don't like the price, if they need to think about it, if they're not going to give you their banking information, if you don't have the trust factor or the relationship factor, they're going to hang up on you because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? However, that being said, my mindset is also, man, if I close that deal after going through all this with that person over the phone, the business stays on the books. It stays on the books. My persistency ratio over the last 6 months is 91%. So it stays on the books. And it's strictly because I really have to focus on building some kind of trust and value with that person within the next 30 seconds or a minute, or I'm not going to get it no matter what you do. So just knowing the correct expectations. Like if I was in the field and I was to set 10 appointments, okay, I know for a fact I'm gonna get it stood up probably 2 or 3 times. And then even if I close 50%, I know what my numbers are gonna be. Okay, well, the difference is when you're setting appointments over the phone, I can get a lot more appointments in. Whereas you might be able to run, say, 8 appointments in a day. I can get 10, 12, or 14 appointments in a day because I'm doing it all over the phone. So I just know that I have to have more appointments to get the same result, but I'm sitting here instead of driving around the county.
I mean, it's huge because I drive 200 to 300 miles every single time I'm in the field still to this day. And if I do that 4 days a week, really I can only do 7, 8 appointments in a day, depending on if the leads that I bought are all in the same area. Sometimes I'm working 6, 7 counties in one day on the West Coast, like we were talking about earlier with, crazy counties. So that's huge. I mean, being able to increase your production, something you cannot do if you're just strictly in the field.
Now, here's what I will tell you. It is not it is not easier to sell over the phone. It is harder to sell over the phone. So, and if you're struggling booking appointments, what in the world makes you think you're gonna be able to sell somebody over the phone if you can't book an appointment?
That's a fact.
So you got to get good. Matt Smith said it right when we first started. You have to get great on the phone, right? You always have to get good at the phone. If you can get great at the phone, you'll be great at this business, but you have to practice it every single day.
I mean, that's huge. I think it's important. I think if you guys are struggling with setting appointments, you're going to struggle with selling over the phone. I mean, I couldn't say that any better. And, that's where you have if you have the opportunity to run in person and you have an abundance of leads in your backyard, I always like to disclaim these calls. You should run in person to learn this business. A lot of our best telesales people in our group, the ones who are helping 20, 30, 40 families a month, they did start in the field. So they have a little bit of an advantage to you because they got really good at booking appointments. They got really good at dealing with clients and helping them with insurance. Now, it's not impossible by any means to learn the phones as a brand new agent, but you do just have to understand that it's going to take an incredible amount of practice. So let's dig into a little bit of what you're doing here. Are you doing call to close, live transfers? Are you dialing mortgage leads, final expense leads? What is the bulk of your business? And maybe how did you start? What did you experiment with and kind of where have you landed?
So yes to all of that. Okay. So I do live transfers. I do mortgage leads. I do final expense leads. I do internet leads. I am not someone who's going to dedicate all my business to one type of lead. Let's be very clear on that. Okay. Because one type of lead works this week might not work for me next week. That's just the way leads are. All right. So to experiment though, I was doing live transfer leads from Data Lot. Okay. And then I was also trying to sell internet leads over the phone. If I couldn't get an appointment with them, I was trying to, hey, we got 15 minutes, let's do it now. Right. So what happened was I ended up, like my first time doing live transfer leads with Data Lot, I ended up taking like 6 calls came in. I sold 2, I'd helped 2 families. And after you subtract my lead costs and everything, I was like, all right, if I did this 5 days a week, that makes sense. Okay. So I started with that experiment. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe then I listened to a call by Brandon Kitchens. I was like, well, he sells over the phone. Why can't I sell mortgage leads over the phone if I want to as well? So I implemented some of his stuff. And man, it just is working out, dude. I'm not relying on one type of lead. Live transfers are not going to be the be all end all to your leads. You have to be able to adjust and go to a different type of lead, especially with the bidding system going on, because what happens is we have so many agents with Family First Life, we're all bidding against each other for the same leads, right? So you need to be able to broadcast, I guess you could say, or have a different ability to go wherever you need to go at that time.
Makes perfect sense. So I think that with you doing such a variety of things, I think there's going to be a lot of people on here who are going to wonder, like, what is like a potential, I guess, calendar schedule? What does that look like for you? Typical FFL in the field schedule. We dial on Mondays and Thursdays. We work Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I'm sure for you, you're going to say, I work 7 days a week, but what does that look like when you're like, okay, today I'm doing live transfers, or today I'm dialing to do call to close, or today I'm booking same day appointments? What does that look like for you?
So I try to stick to the basic Family First Life schedule, and meaning is like this. So like if I'm making appointments, if I'm doing mortgage leads, okay, I'm trying, if they're available then for me to close them on the spot, I'm going to do that. But if they're not, they could be at work, they could be driving, their spouse could not be there with them. So I'm going to book that like it's a normal appointment. I'm just going to do it virtually. I'm just going to do it either over the phone or over Zoom. Okay. So I'll book it. I'll really lock it down, because you can get stood up very easily with this stuff. So I'll lock it down extremely hard, and then I'll put them in Calendly as a reminder that goes out. Right. Same concept as you guys. Live transfers, I do the same thing. If I can't close that live transfer on the spot, because let's say that they're calling out to them and they're driving to work, that's not an appropriate time to talk to them about life insurance, especially if their spouse is not there or a loved one who's a decision maker with them. So I will book that as a normal appointment for either same day or next day. So I still get my normal 30 appointments a week in. It's just now it's done over the phone, and it's still done Mondays, It's still calls on Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, dude. It's a kind of an everyday kind of a thing, right? And if I hit my goal, Sundays are off. If I don't hit my goal, Sundays are on. It's simple. It's an activity level for me. That's it. 30 appointments a week, 40 appointments a week if I'm behind. That's it.
I love it. Grady calls it setting goals for relief. I set a goal for relief. If I help 10 families before the weekend, I take Sunday off. If I don't help 10 families, I keep going. For me, my wife and I, we go out to breakfast every Wednesday morning. And if I have a good weekend, that it's determining of what that extra, time is going to look like with family. So, Paul McLean had if I did X, Y, Z, I would make Friday a half day. Mark Mead had something where he'd go home early on Saturday, but it's based upon, did I create the results ahead of time so I could set those goals for relief? So
and here's what I would say about that. If you're at work and you feel like you need to be hanging out with your family, and if you're with your family and you feel like you need to be at work, it's only strictly because you're not hitting your activity goal, which is leading to your production goal, which is why your mind is torn. If you start hitting your activity goal, which leads to your production goal, when you're with your family, you'll be there with your family. And when you're at work, you'll be there when you're at work. It won't intertwine with each other.
Mm-hmm. So I just got a good question via Zoom. Normally I wait to take these till the end, or via chat, but I usually wait to take these till the end, but it was a good one. When do you decide to go Zoom versus over the phone?
If I can do it over the phone, I'm going to do it over the phone.
Okay.
That's as simple as that. I am not that great with technology. Not going to lie to y'all. Zoom is an awesome tool to use, but if I can get you on the phone, and if you're willing to give me your social, you're willing to give me all this kind of stuff over the phone, I'm going to do it right then and there.
Absolutely. I mean, you can sell in a pair of basketball shorts. You don't even need a collared shirt or anything.
But you don't know what I'm wearing under here.
Fair enough, man. Okay. So let's get some word tracks out of you. I mean, I would love to hear, what does that transition look like? And we can kind of do it two different ways. One is going to be, I'm available right now to do the appointment. We don't need to obviously do the appointment, but just get me to the point where you're like, okay, go grab a pen and paper and let's get started. And then we'll do one where I'm not available right now and we need to book the appointment for later. So,
okay. So here's what we'll do with the introduction on both.
Okay.
Because the introduction, if you can nail an introduction, you can nail a closing, you'll be successful. Okay. So it would go something like this. Let's say you're available right now. Hey,
Okay.
Jamie, real quick, do me a favor. Can you grab a pen and a piece of paper for me?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Got it.
Now, the reason I do that is because I'm asking you to do me a favor, and I want to see if you're going to follow through on it. So you all of a sudden are now going to get that for me. So now I'm in control of this conversation. Okay. So then, Jamie, listen, my job is I'm just an underwriter with the state of Nevada. So basically what that means is that I don't represent one particular company. I actually represent 20 different A-rated companies. And so my job is I'm an advocate for you. So I get to go to work for you, which means I'm going to ask you some basic health questions, some financial questions, and then I'm going to go to work to see what's the best company to get you qualified with. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, have you ever purchased life insurance before, or is this your first time going through the process?
First time.
First time. It's pretty simple, and people make it way more complicated than what it needs to be. So real quick though, because I need to verify your information, and the state's going to want me to send you my information. That way you know who I am in case you need to look me up. So real quick, I got your cell phone number as 619-719-209, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to shoot you a text of my copy of my license and my driver's license, but do me a favor and please don't share that with anyone. Okay.
Yes.
So then I send them that and then I go, does this make sense so far? And they go, yes. And I go, great. Now, the reason I did that was because now I'm asking you to do me a favor again. I'm asking you not to share my information. This is the same concept as if you're sitting down with a wife at a table and you go, hey, can I please have a glass of water? And she gets up to get you a glass of water. It's the same thing. Okay. So then I go, Jamie, it's pretty simple. Here's what's going to happen. Okay. My job is to be conservative with you. You can buy whatever you want, but I'm going to try to be as conservative as possible. So we're going to fill out an application and we're going to see if we can get you qualified with one of the carriers that you pick. It's going to take them, sometimes it's instant to get approved, and sometimes it's 5 to 7 business days. Once you get approved, Jamie, you're going to get a policy in the mail. When you get your policy in the mail, you have 30 days to look over it to make sure you're happy with it. So that gives you can increase it, you can decrease it, or you can cancel it. And legally, the insurance company has to reimburse you your money. So that gives you 35 to 40 days to think about it to make sure you're happy with your policy, or if you want to increase it. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So do you think that's enough time for you to think about it and make sure you're good to go?
Yes.
So let's just pick something that you know for a fact is affordable today, knowing you can increase it later, okay?
Okay.
That's the opening.
So, I mean, there's a lot that you did in there. So, please don't share my phone number with anybody. I mean, that's an increase in credibility if I've ever seen one. And that's also a way to take you very seriously. Hey, like, I'm not just some random dude calling you. Like, don't share my phone number with anybody. And then, towards the end there, you really tackled think about it. Could you kind of break that down for us a little bit more? Because I think that most people get stuck on, I need to think about it. I'm not going to make any decisions today, no matter what you do over the phone.
So there's two things that people will stop you from doing this. Number one, they don't trust you, so you don't know. So I eliminated that process. Okay. Yep. Number two, it's not affordable. I've already told you, listen, I'm going to be extremely conservative with you today. You can buy whatever you want. Just know that they're going to want me to be conservative with your budget. Okay. There's price. Okay. Next, I need to think about it. Well, really, you have 40 days to think about it. Because by the time you get the policy in the mail and you do the free look period, it's done. Now, something that I normally say that I forgot. I normally say, hey, listen, when you get your policy in the mail, you and I are going to go over it again. So what that means is that you've got me again to talk to you again about this policy before you solidify any decisions. So I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. So if you overcome these objections in the beginning, you don't have to worry about them in the end, because you're not cramming a price down someone's throat. You're helping them. You're alleviating all their stress, alleviating all their pain. You're bringing their shoulders down. They can pick what they want, what's most affordable now, knowing that they can get more if they want to.
I love it. All right, now let's set an appointment. So, hey, I'm not available. I'm at work right now. My wife's
Hey, Jamie, is there someone else that you also want to have involved in this decision?
My wife.
Well, of course, man, I'm sure, because I'm assuming she's going to be your beneficiary, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And then are you also looking for coverage on her or strictly on you?
Both.
Both of you. Okay. You guys. Okay. So here's the deal, man, because you're going to want her to be involved as well. There's two ways we can do this now because of COVID. Dude, I used to do everything in person for the last 10 years, but now we get to do everything either over Zoom or over phone. First, which one would you prefer? Would you rather do it over Zoom or over the phone?
Phone.
Okay. Yeah. Most of my clients pick phone. Okay. So what's going to happen is I'm going to send you a copy of my driver's license and my insurance license. That way, before we speak, you guys can look me up on the state website to make sure that I am who I say I am. Just do me a favor and don't share my information with anybody. Okay.
Okay.
Now you work Monday through Friday, correct?
Yes.
Is it 8 to 5 or is it 6 to 3? What's your shift?
I usually get home around 6:30.
Okay. And what does your wife, does she also work?
She gets home at like 4.
She gets home about 4. So you guys are usually together around 7, 8 o'clock after dinner and all that kind of stuff?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So I say about like 7:15. How's that sound?
Yeah, I could work.
Okay. Now, before we do that though, Jamie, let me ask you some basic health questions so I can get to work for you and put all this stuff together for you. Okay. So then I'll ask them a couple of basic health questions. Any cancer, strokes, heart attacks, any of that kind of crazy stuff?
No, nothing.
No, nothing. Okay. Now listen, Jamie, I help 10 families a day. Okay. And so I'm going to put all this stuff together for you. It's going to take me about an hour to 2 hours to do my research and actually find you the right companies. But I'm not going to do that unless you're going to be there. So I need to know for sure you guys will be available at 7:15 tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. Also, you're going to get a text message from me confirming this. I'm also going to send you an email invite from Calendly, which I'm sure you know what that is. It's going to ask you to join and to make sure that you accept my invitation. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Real quick, let me get your email address. What's your email address?
Jamie Chirio at yahoo.com.
Okay, I've got you marked for 7:15 tomorrow. Just make sure you guys are both there and we'll go ahead and get this taken care of. Also, Jamie, one more thing. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to find something that's absolutely affordable to you because it's my job to be conservative and we're going to apply to try to get you guys coverage. If I can't find something that's affordable, it's okay. You can go tell me to kick rocks. But if I do, I'm going to be your guide moving forward. Is that fair enough?
That's fair.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow at 7:15.
Mm. There's so much in that we could dig into. Hey, I'm going to send you a text message with a picture of my driver's license and my state license so you can look me up on the state insurance website. One more time, increase credibility, reduce sales pressure. Hey, I'm going to send you a text message and an email confirming the appointment. And what you're going to do is you're going to confirm that before I actually get there. And hey, it's going to take me about an hour to 2 hours to do some research to put you all in the best position. So if I'm going to do all that research, I need to make sure you guys are actually going to be there. I mean, that's good stuff, man. A question in the chat: what's your show rate on these appointments?
Believe it or not, my show rate's higher on live transfer leads than it is on mortgage protection leads.
Higher on telesale appointments, or just because live transfers, obviously, you're going to get a show on every single one because they come to you.
No, what I'm saying is from booking a live transfer lead.
You book a live transfer lead.
I'll book a live transfer lead.
Interesting.
They're there 80% of the time.
Interesting. Okay. I've only heard people live transfer and hey, it's time to take care of this right now. I've never heard anybody book it. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, okay. So let me ask you this question. Okay. Let's say that person's driving and they're going to work. You're going to try to sell them right there on the phone?
I've tried to sell them right there on the phone.
Don't work, does it?
It doesn't work.
So why wouldn't I book that like a normal appointment?
You're right. I just paid, $80, $90 for an appointment rather than, $10 for a lead.
Yeah, that's it. So if you book it, now it's an appointment. Now you got a shot.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I love that, man. So let's transition here into, so now we're on the appointment. I've agreed to the process. How do you use the financial inventory to figure out what position you're going to put the client in? What are some tips and tricks that you can maybe give some newer agents on the call, and just how important the financial inventory is?
So I do the financial inventory just like anybody else does. It just an over the phone sells a lot quicker because there's not as much chit chat. Okay, but you're still doing the normal process as you normally do anything else. There's two different ways to do this. Number one, a mortgage protection lead, I get much more detailed. Okay, because it is a higher quality person. I know exactly what it's a higher quality lead. So I know exactly I need to break down his income, the wife's income, if they have any insurance in place, if they have anything to offset the mortgage already in place. I need to break down all of that. Okay. On a live transfer lead, what I usually do is something like this. I'll go, hey, listen, Jamie, like I told you, the insurance companies, they want me to be extremely conservative with you because what they don't want to have happen is they don't want you to pick out something that eventually you can't afford and it goes away and no one's better because of it. Okay. So Jamie, at the end of the day, knowing I have to be conservative with you, at the end of the day, how much is left over at the end of the month for your budget?
600.
600. Okay. Well, listen, but I don't really want to take more than 10 or 15% of that. So why don't we find something around like 60, 70, $80 a month? If you want more, I'll get you more, but I would rather stick to something that we know for a fact you can afford and then increase it later. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that's live transfer. Simple as that.
Got it.
Mortgage protection, I just break it down like we normally do, you guys. I literally will go through, do the budgets, do all that kind of stuff and go, but I still say the same thing. And I can't believe how many times people will give it to me. I'll just go, hey, listen, at the end of the day, you know your budget better than me. So why don't you tell me at the end of the month, how much left over do you guys think you actually have?
Probably 500.
Okay, listen, let's find something that's easily affordable because what I don't want to do, I don't want to take food off your kitchen table. So let's find something that's easily affordable to start with, and then we can always increase from there. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just yes. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, cool, man. So when it comes to objections, obviously the stronger you set the table, the more that we don't get objections. What's the most common objection you get at the end of the call?
I need to think about it.
Okay. And just give us a quick word track, maybe bring us back to your open, tie it back in. How do you think about it?
Well, okay. So the more you overcome this in the beginning, the less you have to worry about any of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just tie it right back. Hey, listen, Jay, remember I know you need to think about it. Remember what we talked about though. There's nothing really to think about yet until we actually get you qualified. So just a reminder, it's going to take me, sometimes it's immediate, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it can take me 5 to 7 business days to get you approved. Then you get your policy in the mail. Then we go over it again. Then you have 30 days to think about it on top of that. So that's 40 days. So now, like we said, now, is that enough time to think about it? Or do you need, say, like 45 days?
That's enough time.
Okay. So let's just pick something that we know is affordable, because my guess is the reason why you need to think about it is because you want to make sure you can afford it, right?
Exactly.
So why don't we just pick something that's maybe even less, because we know it's affordable to get you qualified, and then we can increase it when we go over it again.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's just the number one thing that I'm kind of pulling from everything you're doing is like, you're incredibly assumptive. It's just like I'm assuming that the reason you want to think about it is because it's too expensive and you want to make sure that this is going to fit into your budget long-term. Correct. So here's what we're going to do. And it's just assumptive, lead guide, direct, assumptive, lead guide, direct. So if you guys take anything away from, Matt, it's not just his word tracks, but it's his posture. His posture is, I'm assumptive. I'm the leader. I'm the licensed individual. I have credibility. I'm very busy. I'm very good at what I do, and I'm going to help you, and there's no thinking about it, because thinking about it's stupid, because we're on the phone call right now having the appointment. So that's good, man. So we're going to just kind of transition here into some questions from some different agents here. And I'll kind of get to as many as I can, guys. For one call closes, are you buying leads every day? Are you buying them every day, once a week, twice a week? What's your strategy for lead buying?
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yep. Twice a week. Just like I treat it just like normal. And then if I can book an appointment, or if I can settle on the spot, I'll settle on the spot. If I have mortgage leads coming in, I call them immediately, just so y'all know. I do not wait on those. I'm trying to get them right now.
Yeah, especially because there's a chance they filled out multiple forms and you want to make sure you're the first one.
No such things as an exclusive lead.
Yep, that's a fact. Okay, Peter Unger, he'll hit Hall of Fame this year. Best advice for top producers transferring from the fields to the phone, and how to shorten the learning curve to figure it out fast.
Get your word tracks down as quick as possible. Practice. Peter, the biggest advice I can get you, treat it like it's a normal appointment. I feel like for some reason over the phone, people are rushing and it's stopping them. You actually need to slow down. It's the same concept, Jamie. If you're booking an appointment, I've always heard, maybe you guys, slow and low, like Barry White, especially when you're talking to seniors, right? If you slow down and make them listen to you, you'll do much better.
I love it. This is from Al Vomsteeg. He said, Matt, when I first met you, you weren't very committed. What turned your switch?
Oh man. Okay. So it's being around these guys. Okay. I wanted to be, what really got me was I did not want to not cross the stage with Brandon and all the FFL Dials crew and all those guys, because they were encouraging me so much. I didn't want to miss out. And then what happened was I got excited about the industry again. That's what happened. So it sparked a fire in me again that I lost. And so now, dude, I want to be around these guys.
I love it. Law of association.
It works.
Okay. John Booker. What are the main differences between working in the field and telesales, and how can somebody make that transition?
I work more now, I feel like, than I worked in the field. When you work in the field, you get stood up, you're driving a lot. When you're doing telesales, you're doing over the phone. I have an appointment every hour on the hour. Like it's every hour on the hour. And if they stand me up, I'm calling somebody else, or I'm texting agents, or I'm trying to recruit, or so I'm in the office. Look, y'all, I still get up at 4 a.m. I still go to the gym. I come back. I'm making phone calls before my kids get up at 7, because I'm calling East Coast. Then I take a break and I go get my kids up and I get them ready for school. And then I come right back and I'm on the phone.
Yeah, that's it, man. So last couple questions here. We'll see if anybody drops them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just come up with some here. Obviously, you came here and the goal is to sell insurance and then build a team and teach people how to sell insurance. How do you duplicate what you're doing? Because obviously you're really, really good at what you do. How do you provide an incredible amount of confidence for a new agent to do exactly what you're doing?
Well, I think the key would be learning to book an appointment first. If you can book an appointment, you can make a sale. I truly believe that. And so it all starts back with the phone scripts and getting your emotions down, getting your word tracks down, getting your tone down. Because if you can do that, and then I would say go help somebody in person and learn how to actually sell. Learn what their reaction is when you show them a price that's way too much. Learn how to get kicked out of a home. Learn all that kind of stuff. because if you never go to that line, you don't know what that line is that you can cross. You'd be amazed at how far you can actually push people before they push back. So, but if you never go into a home and actually help someone, I don't know how you're going to do that.
That's good. All right. This is from Candy. What do you do with different time zones? You kind of mentioned you dial East Coast before your kids wake up. Any strategy to leads, where, when you call?
Nope. If I can get a lead, I'm going to call it.
Pretty much as long as it's at least 8 a.m.
You have an advantage. You have the advantage. You're on the Pacific Coast time. East Coast people don't have the advantage. You do.
Yeah.
You get extra 3 hours.
Well, East Coast has the advantage in the evening. They can dial.
Well, they have the advantage in the evening.
They've got the advantage in the evening.
But dude, we got Hawaii.
Yes, that's fact. Okay. Are you using Phone Burner, any other apps other than Phone Burner to add to your productivity?
Phone burner, and then just my cell phone.
Phone burner and a cell phone. Okay. Yep. Which states back east do you like to set appointments in and dial best?
I've got 28 different states.
28 states. Obviously, all the big ones up and down the East Coast.
All the East Coast, Midwest, wherever the red is on familyfirstlife.com, the CRM, wherever the red is, that's where I've got a license.
Okay, that's the best answer right there. It's not about the specific state. It's about where are the leads in the CRM. That's where you guys should get a license, especially if you're doing. I mean, it's just you never have to worry about lead flow. You never ever have to worry about lead flow. I see an answer or question here. I'll just answer this one. Do you use other area codes? Yeah, a lot of us use other area codes. Sideline, Burner, Google Voice. Any of these different applications allow you to get multiple phone numbers when you have. So for instance, here in Oregon, I have a Michigan phone number still. So nobody in Oregon is going to answer the phone to a Pontiac, Michigan phone number. So I've got a 503, 541, and a 971. Those are the main area codes. If people see someone calling from their area code, they're more likely to answer. Burner is what I use, $14.99 a month. You get 3 phone lines on rotation. So hopefully that answers your question. So just kind of bringing it back full circle to Hall of Fame. What's your confidence level that, just like we talked about, Sean says, hey, anybody can hit Hall of Fame if they do XYZ activity. Do you have that same confidence level that anybody can hit Hall of Fame over the phone?
Anyone can Hall of Fame. It's just numbers. And once you understand what your activity level is and your numbers are, you can hit it easily. It's not easy. It's easily if you work hard.
Yeah, that's a fact. So kind of closing this thing out, I kind of end every single one of these calls with this exact same question. Everybody's on this road to Hall of Fame. And there's going to be some people who they make it to the destination. There's going to be some people who, they're dead on the side. What's your final advice to somebody if they say, I want to make it no matter what, no matter how many tires I have to change, no matter how many times I have to pull off and change the oil, no matter how many times I get sidetracked and get lost, I'm going to make it to that destination at the end, which is 400 families in a year. What's your final advice to that person?
Focus on the activity, not the production. Focus on the activity, not the production. Hit your activity goal, not your production goal.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Hope everybody has an amazing night. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace out, guys.
David.